Are we live? Yay. Show comments on the stage. Sure. Let's do that for now so I can see. We're gonna play around with this and then hey Al, how are you? Apologies for being late. I was having some technical difficulties. I wanted to do this upstairs in the studio and then my internet went out. So I'm like, interesting. I love it. But we're gonna play around, and as you come up, we'll just roll with it from there. So let me go ahead and put up this presentation. Unlike TikTok, because TikTok is really on some BS. This is my first time going live here on YouTube. So hey, how y'all doing? If you don't know who I am, if you've never seen me before, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put up. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be talking about as soon as I. Bear with me, please. Bear with me. So we are going to be discussing the latest updates when it comes to Klux Khaleesi, as well as her husband. And apparently she is going to remove the motion for emotional distress, which a couple months ago, I did a video about that. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be some BS. And one of my favorite creators, who happens to be a practicing attorney, she stated that if she goes with the emotional distress route, that they're going to have to subpoena her medical records. Hey, Seth. So because if you're going to go with emotional distress, they're going to want copies of the medical records to kind of show like the events that took place is the cause of your mental health happening. And so Not So Golden on TikTok mentioned that, and I kind of just put that in the back of my mind. And as soon as that was mentioned, it was like, oh, yeah, definitely. So let me put up the screen. We're going to go over a quick outline in regards to what we're going to talk about. Let me see. Slideshow. You have no slides. Yeah, I'm aware. Please bear with me. I'm trying to figure out how to upload everything. So I did like this really cool PowerPoint presentation. I haven't done a PowerPoint presentation since I was in the Army. So that was like high adventure. That was fun. And then we're going to revisit the Justin Baldoni case from the different motions that was filed. I can't find my presentation. Where's my presentation? There's the zip file. Done. Topic outline. That's the one thing about Mac is when you're trying to download something, it doesn't give you, it will not organize by the order in which you download it. It does it in alphabetical order. So if you do not remember the name, you're going to be scrolling through like, where is it? Topic outline. So we're going to go over the PDF. We're going to go over a lot of stuff. And then if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. I should have had this prepped a little bit sooner. My apologies. But at least I know the name of the file. I'm disappointed. I wanted to do this in my studio, but my internet was acting wonky. And I'm like, I don't want to have anyone wait because I'm the type of person I like to start on time. There we go. It's not letting me do it. Let's do it one more time. Image file. There we go. I guess we got to go one by one on this one. Okay, so this is me, my little mugshot. This is what we're going to talk about. Who am I? Just a kind of quick introduction because this is my first time going live on YouTube. And so I just kind of wanted to give a recap of who I am, what I do, because this is not my full time job. We're going to do a recap of what happened in August leading all the way up until now. So if you're coming in and you're like, hey, I've heard a little bit about, the Ku Klux Khaleesi. I refuse to say her name. So she has multiple nicknames. She goes by Plantation Barbie, Ku Klux Khaleesi, Balake. Whenever you've seen my videos, if you notice, I will not refer to her name. And her husband, Megamind, or Christopher Columbus of Hollywood, because he likes to colonize and appropriate stuff that already exists and take it as his own. So we're going to kind of talk about how it led, who is involved, and we're just going to go from there. Then we're going to talk about Taylor Swift. Why is she involved? Because some people are like, how did she get dragged into this? Especially if you're coming in late. We're going to kind of touch base on the Van Zandt lawsuit. This is like the catalyst of where we're at right now. Then we're going to talk about motion to dismiss number 5001, because Lord have mercy. Ku Klux Khaleesi and her husband has been trying to do motions to dismiss left and right. And you know what? I'll tell you this much. Their lawyers are making some serious, serious bank. Hella bank. And it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, you started this mess. Go ahead. But she is willing to like commit to this nonsense. And then we're going to wrap it up. So the goal is to kind of get this done in about an hour. But if we go over, we go over, because it's been taking me a hot minute to like finish up, but that's okay. So next one. La, 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 la. Can I switch? Forgive me. So we're going to drop that out and we're going to bring the next file just to kind of talk about who I am and what I do. All right. Here we go. So who am I? On the internet, I go by Bohemian Diva, but my government name is Marie. I am a 20-year Army veteran. I was a logistics officer and I deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. And after a eye-opening second week into my Afghanistan deployment, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I am done wearing this uniform. I am done serving this country. I have hit 20 years. I'm done. We cool on that. So afterwards, I became a full-time entrepreneur. I am a professional boudoir photographer by trade. That's what actually pays my bills. That's why you don't really see me as much. I mean, outside of TikTok, if you rock with me on TikTok, it's easy. I'm pretty much like on my couch, hanging out, and I'll do my little sound bites. But when it comes to YouTube, I think YouTube is a little bit more curated, a little bit more streamlined. It takes more effort. And that's why you'll see like a lot of vertical when I do, because I'm like, let me film this on my phone and go. So I'm trying something different and give you a little bit more high quality. But for the most part, my job is to help women and couples feel sexy about themselves, reestablish their connection with each other, fall in love with themselves, find their confidence, and remind themselves that they are that girl. I'm also a member of my local chapters, small business organizations. So I sit on the board with that. On my TikTok, I mention a lot, build community in person. That's what I do. I am a massive nerd. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to humanities, but my biggest passion is history. And I'm the type of person, because I'm a nerd and I'm a lifelong learner, I will sit there and look up some things. Like, for example, in the case, I'm going to try to research what all has happened in the past. Is it something that is relevant? For the most part, history is my jam. Because I was in the Army, I also like to look at military history. Sometimes I'll watch either loose adaptations of history or dramatization and be like, how is this applicable to the real life? I'm also into geopolitics in the aspect of what's going on either overseas or locally, as well as in my own community and how is it relevant. So I do speak a lot on politics. For the most part, I'm pragmatic and no nonsense. I curse a lot on my social media because I look at it like this. I am queen of this domain. We're going to do that. But when it comes to professional settings and environments, I cut down the profanity a great deal. I'm also bipartisan. Bipartisan meaning that I can look at information objectively, whether I agree with it or not, in just to gain understanding. One of the things that has helped me when it comes to looking at the world from a macro sense and not necessarily in the vacuum is I can read information or I can listen to someone who is anti and say, okay, what is your perspective on it? And irregardless on where my stance is, because most of the time I try to remove my personal opinions out of the equation, that allows me to look at things very objective. So I'm pretty much bipartisan. Now, there's what I won't do is entertain stupid nonsense. Like if it's just stupidity on 10, where people are just spewing misinformation, I'm not even going to entertain it. It's not worth, the logic is not worth going back and forth. I don't necessarily debate. It's more of what is your stance? Let me understand where you're coming from, and then we'll go from that. So I tend to look at it from a very bipartisan perspective, especially when it comes to very polarizing topics. Now, I do have my opinions and I do have strong feelings when it comes to certain things. And that's why I will say, I'm on mute. Oh no, can you hear me? Wait, let me check. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? My mic is on. Audio is on. No problem. Okay, awesome. So what I was saying was I view a lot of perspective bipartisan, especially with politics, this country's politics. I always say take the emotions out, listen to what's being said, pay attention to what's not being said. And if there's any information, because I understand a lot of news outlets will kind of sensationalize and try to get you gassed up emotionally. I say take the emotions out, read the information for what it is. And that's where I'll kind of come in and say, hey, this is the information, this is what's happening. Take your emotions out. This is how you can get involved with it. And that the reason why I think this way is because I used to be a commander in the military, and being emotional will get someone hurt. It will get someone killed. And so that's where I just will not make decisions off of emotions. Overall, I use a lot of critical thinking and common sense. I am less emotional. What I do is if something is a little triggering, I'm going to pause and I will unpack why I feel the way I feel. And I will, like, I'm the type of person, I'm going to take it apart and say, okay, you know what? I feel this way, and these are my opinions. And I will lead with the disclaimer I am biased. I have a biased approach. So, as we do the recap on the entire case, it's going to sound like I'm biased. I'm not biased. I've already made a decision because I've been following this case since the 21st of December when the CRD complaint dropped. And then from there, it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, now how can I confirm my bias? Got one more for you. From stage. Just want to show you a little image of my work. So I am a full-time boudoir photographer. So this is a sample of my work. My job is to help women feel sexy, sensual, confident, because when you are confident, you know how to advocate for yourself. When you advocate for yourself, you know how to establish healthy boundaries. You establish firm, like no-go zones in regards to I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. I'm not going to tolerate people talking to me crazy. And so this is what I do full time. And this is pretty much what pays my bills. So I am inside of my studio. I have an entire commercial studio, and there's no doxing because you could find me. It's a commercial building and you have to walk past multiple businesses. But I'm in the historic district of Richmond. And that's pretty much why a lot of the values that I have, it is tied to my job as well. Like you will never hear me talk smack about anyone's appearance because it is contradictory to what my actual job is and everything else. But with that being said, if you have any questions in regards to what I do, please hit me up. And from there, let's talk about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. It's about the last time I'm going to refer to her by her government name. Let's see if I can pull up the latest headline. From studio. Can we do a link? Share screen with two monitors. Best works on the computer. No. Okay. So we're going to figure this out. But let me give you the recap of what's going on. So in January of 2024, was it January? No, December. December of 2023, Justin Baldoni decided to go ahead and make the book It Ends With Us into a picture, a motion picture. He bought the rights from Colleen Hoover in 2019. And from there, he and Colleen Hoover had worked hand in hand in regards to, I know, right? In regards to making the film true to the book. And so he pulled some super fans as well as Colleen Hoover. They wrote the script and they made it into a collaborative project. From there, somewhere in the mix, word on the street is Colleen Hoover wanted Balake to play the lead of what is her name? Lily Rose. Is it Lily Rose? Lily Bloom. Lily Bloom, right? Justin Baldoni had heard rumors that she was difficult, but against his better judgment, ignored all of the warning signs. And instead of having conversations with people who have worked with her, worked with her before, he was like, we're going to go ahead and do it. So they started filming, and apparently there was some issues because right around the same time that they were filming, you had the SAG writer strike and then you had the SAG after strike. First was the SAG writer strike, and they were able to kind of bypass the writer strike a little bit because the script was already written and they were already in production. But they had to shut down a little bit because of the writer strike. Around the same time, they were filming the movie, Megamind was filming Deadpool 3 to be exact. And so because they had to pause on filming due to the writer strike, they kind of caught up because they had started filming in January of 2024. Principal photography had started, and that's when you kind of see all of the photography that's happening, and it's kind of like a teaser of the movie that's happening. In July of 2024, not July 24, 2023, July of 2023, they had to stop filming altogether because of the actor strike. And so with the actor strike, everything was on pause and they had to they had to stop, right? So from there, it was like, okay, not a problem. But for the most part, they got the bulk of the filming done. Not a problem. So then they started to resume filming, but there were some issues. All of a sudden, Klux Khaleesi is like, hey, I have some problems. Here is a 13-point memorandum that she sent to Jamie Heath, who's the CEO of Wayfair Productions. Jamie Heath is like, hey, okay, what's going on? And this is what all is leading up. Now, I'm leaving out some key details and I'm going to bounce back into it, but I'm just kind of trying to do a quick recap. So I'm not taking a whole hour because I'm about to condense like 6 months, almost 18 months worth of drama into a couple minutes, right? While they were filming, Ku Klux Khaleesi was making a lot of changes to the script. Now, this is where Justin Baldoni messed up. Justin Baldoni is a very collaborative director where he wants everyone who's participating in the project to say, hey, you know what? Like, what is your input? What is your insight? Well, here's the issue when it comes to getting insight and input from Ku Klux Khaleesi. The chick never read the book. She even didn't even bother to get her hair colored to match the character. The character's hair color doesn't even match in the movie from the book, right? So she never bothered to read the book. She was making all sorts of changes to the script that had nothing to do with the book. For example, the rooftop scene is not even in the book, but her and her husband Megamind wrote the rooftop scene, right? Never read it. Didn't even bother reading the blurb. Didn't even bother to do any research on it. And so this is the first mistake that Justin Baldoni made. Well, he made a series of mistakes. So he let her make the changes to the script, but as soon as he tried to kind of flex a little bit of authority as the director, because he was also, yeah, pretty much. So she was also like making a whole lot of changes to the script as well as to the production. So the first mistake was the changes to the script. The second mistake was she changed the entire wardrobe. So the wardrobe is supposed to depict a small business owner who kind of sunk all of her money plus money that her parents gave her into this business. I can definitely relate to that as being a small business owner who opens up a brick and mortar. A small business owner who just started a business is not going to afford $5,000 Louboutin boots. You know, she's not going to be wearing designer clothes. And so the book Lily, even though they aged her up because it just didn't make sense with the power dynamic with the character Ryle, so they aged Lily up because in the book she's in her 20s. Well, Ku Klux Khaleesi is in her late 30s. So it was like, yes, he's definitely a people pleaser. So from there, it jacked up the wardrobe budget to $500,000, right? Completely changed it. And on top of that, she didn't even want to go down to the studio to do the wardrobe fitting. She made the studio bring all of the wardrobe to her penthouse apartment in New York because they were filming in Jersey, which right there, it costs a lot of money. If you go in and you talk to wardrobe specialists that work in Hollywood, they'll say that if you wear your own clothes on a set, not only do the studio have to pay for it, even though it's your own clothes. So that jacked up the budget on top of that. So seeing as the budget for the film just skyrocketed to $500,000 just for the wardrobe alone, Justin was like, hey, you know, this is not a good idea. But here comes Ku Klux Khaleesi just manipulating everything. Well, rewinding back to the rooftop scene, instead of having the meeting in regards to changes to the script, she ambushes Justin Baldoni by having him come to the apartment. And so her husband, Megamind, is there. And then her bestie or ex bestie, Taylor Swift, comes in and they pretty much kind of ambush him and say, oh, yeah, you should, you know, add the rooftop scene. The rooftop scene is good. So and I apologize, I'm gonna pull this up the next time. So from there, it's like Justin texts Ku Klux Khaleesi and said, hey, I really do appreciate your input, but you didn't have to ambush me with your friends. And so this is where the nickname Ku Klux Khaleesi comes into play, because in the text message, she was like, yeah, think of me as, you know, Khaleesi and Megamind and Taylor Swift are her dragons. Hence the name Ku Klux Khaleesi, on top of the fact that, you know, she has some very racist undertones when it comes to her lifestyle choices. So that's where the nickname kind of came into play. So every time Justin Baldoni would make concessions for her, she essentially just took and took and took. So from there, whenever Justin will put his foot down and say, okay, look, we're not going to do this, she would threaten and say, well, I'm not going to film. I'm not going to promote the movie. I'm not going to do this. And because this is an indie film, and this is on top of that, here's the thing with It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us had an 80 million, was it 80 million? I gotta look it up. Let me look up the budget. Because the budget for it was about 80 million. The budget for It Ends With Us was the largest budget. Now, mind you, this was the third movie that Justin Baldoni has done, right? But this was the first movie that was picked up by a major studio. I don't want to give y'all wrong information. What was the budget for It Ends With Us? 25 million. So the budget for It Ends With Us, thank you, was $25 million. But mind you, they were kind of over budget, right? Because you had the time spent with the wardrobe, as well as the hours, the days lost because of the writer strike. So they kind of went over budget, but for the most part, it was $25 million. This was the first major production that Justin Baldoni has directed. This was the first movie that was picked up by major studios. So Sony was the studio that was going to pick it up. Sony's role in the movie was to provide distribution as well as pay for a good chunk of the budget. So that's what ended up happening. Oh, but it gets worse. So Klux Khaleesi starts making changes to the script. She changes the entire wardrobe, which blows up the wardrobe budget to $500,000. Then she started nitpicking. Now, this is where the people in Justin's inner circle started to step in. There were two assistant directors who happens to be women. Now, this is something that you can see in his complaint where he brings it up. So she's making changes. She's doing all of this nonsense. And the two assistant directors was like, hey, this is going to be a problem. It would be in your best interest to go ahead and let her go. Recast Lily Bloom and let her go. Well, word got out that the two female assistant directors were like kind of getting into Justin's ear and saying, hey, she's just bad news. This is not the first time she's done this. It would be best if you just go ahead and let her go. Well, word got out to her, and she pretty much strong arms Justin to say, you need to fire them. You need to go ahead and fire them, or I am going to file a complaint, and pretty much blackmails him. So Justin has no choice and had to let go of the two female assistant directors. Then there's a whole drama with the intimacy coordinator, right? Justin Baldoni had an intimacy coordinator. There were 3 intimacy coordinators on the set. Klux Khaleesi refused to meet with the intimacy coordinators, and there's text messages that kind of corroborates the story. So that's where the rumor of, oh, she had to serve as the intimacy coordinator kind of came into play. Then the composer, who was originally doing the score for the movie got fired. So basically what Klux Khaleesi did was came in and not only changed the script, changed the wardrobe, but had members of the crew get fired. Essentially, if you look at it from a domestic violence perspective, people who were advocating for Justin, people who were speaking out for Justin, they ended up getting fired, which in turn was isolating Justin. Those who kind of stayed were like, they did not speak out against her. From what I read, they were being very quiet in regards to, hey, this is what's going on and whatnot. So they finished production in January, February of 2024, and now they're going into post-production and edits. Well, what ended up happening was Klux Khaleesi went in and somehow complained to the studios in regards to wanting to see the dailies, wanting to see the edits. And so that's why she didn't go to the Met Gala in 2024. Because that's right around the time that they're doing post-edit production. Well, what Klux Khaleesi ended up doing was she brought in Maximum Effort Production Company to do the edits for the movie. Except Maximum Effort Production Company is in direct competition with Wayfair Production. Maximum Effort Production Company is also her husband's production company, Megamind. And so when word got out about that, Sony was like, hey, why do you have Maximum Effort doing the edits to this movie when this is a Wayfair studio edit? Whole lot of drama. So by then, Justin, seeing how bad and ugly it has gotten, was like, look, let's just get this movie to production. Let's just give her whatever she wants. The goal is to try to get the movie done, complete, into the box office, and we just go ahead and agree. So editors and other production staff was like, what is she doing? What made it so bad was she locked him out of the editing bay. So there is no, apparently there is a director's cut, then there's a studio cut, and then there's a Ku Klux Khaleesi cut, right? So he was like, let her have it. I'm going to do my edits. I'm going to do my version of the movie. Just let her do her thing. Just essentially she locks him out completely out of the editing bay. So she brings in the director that did, the editor who did Taylor Swift's music video that she had directed. And then when they did the test filming, it did not score as high. So she had to go back and re-edit her version of it. So she's complaining, talking about, well, if you don't play my version of the movie, I'm not going to promote the movie. So she strong arms Sony Studios and was like, you know what, fine, whatever. So what they ended up doing is they did two tests. They tested Justin Baldoni's version of the movie, and then they tested Ku Klux Khaleesi version of the movie. Justin Baldoni's, and I'm just kind of throwing an arbitrary number because it's back in the lawsuit. His movie tested like right around 85, 90%. Her movie tested between 75, 80%. And so they're like, so what Sony did was they told the both of them, look, we ain't trying to get involved. Whichever movie tests the highest is the movie we're going to push out in distribution. Justin's movie tests the highest. Ku Klux Khaleesi was like, I don't care. I want my movie to go into production. If you don't push my movie, I am going to not promote the film and I'm going to file a complaint. Justin is like, look, just give her what she wants. I don't care. To add insult to injury, when Ku Klux Khaleesi signed on to be the actress, she was supposed to be given, you're right, between 94 and 95. So she was supposed to be given executive producer credit. Executive producer is fluff, and that's about it. Well, Ku Klux Khaleesi goes in and said, nope, you're going to give me producer credit. And on top of that, you're going to give me PGA credit. Now, PGA credit is like top tier. There's certain requirements that you have to do. But when you have PGA credit, it's kind of like getting an award or an accolade where when you go in to negotiate for film rights or you negotiate a salary for another film, that kind of gives you a leg up to say, hey, I got PGA credit. You need to go ahead and pay me more. You need to go ahead and give me all of these little provisions and everything like that because this movie, did very well and I was involved. Well, Jamie Heath got involved and was like, hey, you need to go ahead and like, let's have a meeting. Let's talk about it. Well, Ku Klux Khaleesi was like, I'm not talking to you. And so she was like, you could talk to me via email or via text message. Jamie was like, it would be best if we can, have a meeting face to face and talk about this PGA credit situation because you didn't do anything to contribute to PGA credit. Mind you, the script was already done. The work was already done. She was just going in and fucking everything up and changing everything up, right? So from there, when Jamie Heath was like pushing back, like, no, I'm not going to give you PGA credit on it. That's when she threatened them even more. And so January kind of rolls along, and that's when the whole, oh, I don't feel safe. You did all of this stuff, hostile work environment, sexual harassment, and they ambushed them saying, I'm not coming back to work until you knock out these 32-point concessions that I have. People did say stuff about going over budget, Lottie. The individuals who spoke out against her and said something, they got fired. They were all getting fired left and right. And what made it so bad was majority of the people who was calling BS on her were women. They're like, yo, this is not cool. What are you doing? And so when they saw like, hey, what you're doing is foul. What are you doing to this man? Like he's trying to make it comfortable for you to work. He wants you to be a collaborative partner in this project, and you're just shitting all over him. And so what ended up happening was she went back to him and was like, you need to let them go or I'm not going to finish this movie. Whenever you do not finish the movie, it goes over budget. So his responsibility as a producer, the one of this, not the CEO, but the founder of the production company and the director, because all the responsibility falls on his shoulders as a director, and try not to stay, go over budget by delays and everything else. It's not happening, right? On top of that, she wasn't even coming to work. Every time she had to film, she had an excuse. Oh, my child got COVID, but she went to a Taylor Swift concert. Oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. But my good, colleague, Els Rich, she has an entire time that where every time she couldn't go to work, she was off doing something else. So then the question is, how are you going to say that this man sexually harassed you when you were never at work? And then when you were at work, you would film your lines and dip. You were never alone. So she's making up all sorts of just trumped up charges that is not even cooperating with each other. So that's just it was just foul. So every time someone would speak out, they got fired. And so Justin did not want to be completely isolated working with people he doesn't know. So he was just telling people, look, just give her what she want. Give her what she want. Let's just get it across the board. Let me pause right quick and answer some money. The studio pretty much paid for the budget of the film. Most of the time, you're not going to know if you're going to be way over budget until you do reconciliations, but I'm not that familiar in regards to how it works. But my money is when they do the dailies and when they do the reconciling, either daily or weekly or monthly, however long it takes. It's up to the production company to make that determination. That's when they know. I got you. We'll get there. I'm just doing a quick recap. So she threatens not to go to work. They sign and make the concessions. They finish the filming. The timeline in which she says everything is going on doesn't even make sense because he corroborates the timeline. And then from there, you would think, okay, the premiere is happening in LA as well as New York. She tells the studio, I'm not showing up to the premiere. If he shows, I don't want him to go to the premiere. So this is August of 2024, where everyone started to notice, like, hey, where's the director at? Like the director as well as the co-star, how come he's not there? So people are kind of mumbling and chattering, and folks are like, okay, whatever. So the movie ends up being successful, right? So mind you, the movie's budget is $25 million. The movie grosses $380 million worldwide, right? So you're talking about 25 million and it creates 380 million. Reason being is because Colleen Hoover is an eight, like she has 8 out of 10 of her books on the New York Times bestsellers. Everybody's there. Well, you don't find out until like later when he files his complaint that he was forced to be in the basement. They had to do 2 separate screenings. She did not want him there. And she pretty much hijacked the movie because, oh, by the way, even though his movie screened higher, she threatened Sony Studios to say, you need to show my movie. So the movie that everybody saw that's on Netflix is her version of the movie, not his version of the movie, right? And so from there, it's like, okay, you know what, fine. Right around the same time that she's promoting the movie and she's doing the press tour and she's talking about bring your florals and bring your besties, she's promoting Betty Buzz, which is a non-alcoholic, but you can kind of mix alcohol into it. So it's like a spirits adjacent type brand, which is completely tone deaf because everyone knows that alcohol is a contributing factor when it comes to domestic violence. Then she's pushing her hair care line. And so people was just dragging her for filth in regards to your hair care line sucks. And The tipping point on why she ended up filing a CRD complaint on the 21st of December is the organic content that you saw on Instagram and TikTok about her hair care line being hot trash. She blamed it on Justin Baldoni. She claimed that Justin Baldoni is the reason why everyone is dragging her for filth. So this is where the Delulu kicks in. So now we have a recap of she threatens Justin Baldoni from start to finish, from the time that he said, yeah, let's collaborate, let's get everything together. And when I tell you, that was like multiple mistakes on top of multiple mistakes. So by the time they go into post production, Justin Baldoni is like, look, just give her whatever the hell she wants. The goal is to try to get this movie into the theaters and not have this movie shelved, because we're talking about $25 million on the line. His entire professional reputation as a director is on the line, even though he's had successful movies where, like, the last movie, Clouds, had a budget of 8 million and it grossed 80 million. He's a good director. So he's like, give her what she want. We'll just figure it out. It's not the baby that we wanted, but it's the baby that we got. Okay, fine, whatever. So when he started noticing, like, some of the behind the scenes, that's when he hires the PR team to say, look, let's be prepared for whatever comes the way. So she drops the CRD complaint. Oh yeah, he was definitely hospitalized. Like, when I tell you, she was like running him into the ground. It was that bad. So fast forward to December of 2024, she drops the CRD complaint. And this is how the CRD complaint works. It's pretty much a non-judicial investigation to say, hey, I've been sexually harassed or this happened to me. Go ahead and conduct an internal investigation. The problem with the CRD complaint is you do not get an opportunity to kind of defend yourself. They just go in, they conduct the information, and then they'll tell you, okay, whether it's substantiated or not. And in California, you have to do that first and then submit a right to sue. That's California law. The issue is she did not file the CRD complaint with the proper channels because it's a closed investigation. Like, Justin Baldoni would be completely blindsided. Instead, she just sends the CRD complaint to the New York Times. Another thing about the CRD complaint is, unlike a regular lawsuit where you and I can go in and look it up and it's public record, the CRD is not public record. So it wasn't like the New York Times have people scouring, the CRD as well as any other lawsuits. She sent it to the New York Times. That's the thing, because it's not public record at all. So now everybody is blindsided, and yes, completely just skipped the entire process. So there was no proper investigation done. And so when the CRD complaint dropped and it became public, I was one of the first people to be like, something is not right. Because with the Me Too movement pretty much streamlined and restructured the complaint process with SAG. So I went to the SAG website, and there's an entire dedicated page to if you need to file a sexual harassment complaint. So one of the very first questions was, if a sexual harassment took place, how come she didn't file a complaint with SAG? Because believe it or not, SAG has a lot of weight. They will shut an entire production down. And there's nothing the director, the producers, or the studios can do about it. If SAG comes in and says, hey, we have an actor or a member of the union that says that they have been sexually harassed, we need to go ahead and conduct an investigation. We need to go ahead and do several things. And then from there, we will determine whether or not we're going to resume production. She never filed a complaint with SAG. So that was the number one massive red flag, because SAG would have come in, did their own internal investigation, and did that. It would have been a PR nightmare. You're in the middle of a movie production, and then word gets out like production has shut down because of allegations of sexual harassment. But she didn't do that. And then I went in and checked, and I was like, she's a member of SAG. Her husband is a member of the SAG. Justin Baldoni is a member of SAG. But how come there wasn't a SAG rep to come in and mitigate if there was so many issues. So she kept dangling that, right? So that was the first issue. So then we're talking what? A couple of days later, she drops the complaint or a lawsuit in New York. So you file a CRD complaint in California, but then you file a lawsuit in New York with the same complaint. Make it make sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now she files a complaint with New York and she wants New York, it's not necessarily New York, but she wants to take it to federal court instead of state court. And while taking it to federal court, she files it in New York. So it's New York jurisdiction, which is the second district. And I'm just sitting there like, red flag number two. So if everything happened in Jersey, right? But Wayfair and Sony is based out of Los Angeles. You, as a member of SAG, you work in Los Angeles, despite the fact that your home of residence is New York. Why would you file in New York? So when she first filed it in New York, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if she did it because looking at the difference, New York tends to have legal precedence. Also, they will, because New York is also an entertainment hub, they'll most likely side with her versus California. Because in the past, when actors sue studios and directors and they do it in California, they either settle out of court or the actor lose. So there's been like 8 different cases that's similar to hers where they ended up settling out of court. Multiple red flags. So all of the allegations that she said where he was, Justin Baldoni was kissing on her outside of the script and she was uncomfortable, it was like a whole bunch of nonsense and a whole bunch of BS. So then Justin Baldoni ends up filing a lawsuit against the New York Times because the New York Times did not give Justin Baldoni enough time to file a rebuttal. Mind you, this is the holidays. They called Justin Baldoni at like 1 o'clock in the morning talking about, hey, you need to tell me what happened and give me your side of the story. We're going to go to print at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon the same day. So they gave him no time to respond, no time to get his team together, no time to do anything. They go ahead and publish the story. Now, this is where the New York Times got fucked up, right? You and I both know that the CRD complaint was filed, right? Allegedly filed in December. This is what we were under the impression of. It was in December. But when you look at the metadata for the New York Times, which they have gone in and changed since then, but I kept screenshots. So you go in and you look at the metadata, the New York Times had that information sitting since October. They had it in October. They released it in December, meaning that in October, they knew about it. They sat on this information for almost 2 months or a little over 2 months. Did not tell anyone, did not give anyone a heads up in regards to how they can counter or how they can respond to the information. So how is it? Well, then you got the Van Zant, right? So I've kind of given you a recap of what happened from January of 2023 leading all the way up till December of 2024. In September of 2024, a company called Van Zant filed a lawsuit against Jane Doe John Doe. Well, who is Jane Doe? Who is John Doe? I don't know. It was a dummy lawsuit, and that's what they used to go ahead and get the subpoena from Jennifer Abel to get her phone records in order to use to file the CRD complaint. Are you with me? I got you. We're going to get there. I'm giving the whole recap. Let me go ahead and pull up the summary so I can stay on topic. So, giving you the recap, everyone dropped in their lawsuits. Justin Baldoni drops all of the tea in regards to, hey, she said that I was kissing her for too long during the set. He drops a video. Yeah, we didn't do that. Then she claims that he was the aggressor. The video shows that she was the aggressor and whatnot. She claims that Jamie Heath was staring at her too long while she was breastfeeding. Well, she wasn't alone because her bodyguard was there, her assistant was there, her nanny was there. So every time she states that Justin Baldoni did something inappropriate or Jamie Heath did something inappropriate, there was someone there. There was always a witness that was there. So how is Taylor Swift involved in the entire suit, right? So Jen Abel was the PR for both Justin Baldoni, and then they had issues, and then they broke off. Well, because of the Van Zandt lawsuit, they were able to confiscate her phone and use the information on her phone to come up with the lawsuit or the subpoena to get everything else. So they used the Van Zandt lawsuit, which is a dummy lawsuit, to file a subpoena to get Jen Abel's phone, right? And so that's how they were able to file the CRD complaint. The CRD complaint technically wasn't really filed, even though it's not public record, it wasn't really filed. They just did the filing, sent it to the New York Times, so that way they can go on a smear campaign and drag Justin Baldoni. So how is Taylor Swift even involved? Well, because Taylor Swift was mentioned in passing in the text message by Justin Baldoni only once. The reason why Taylor Swift is mentioned multiple times is the fact that it was Ku Klux Khaleesi who kept snitching and said, oh yeah, Taylor Swift was involved in the entire process. I got input from Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift was the one who said we should go ahead and do this or make recommendations. When you sit there and you go through all of the interviews that Ku Klux Khaleesi did in August of 2024, Taylor Swift's name is mentioned multiple times. So, of course, Brian Freeman is like, well, let's go ahead and subpoena Taylor Swift because apparently, according to Ku Klux Khaleesi, Ku Klux Khaleesi is the one who's like, hey, that's my bestie. She's involved in everything. I listened to Reputation. She gave me the rights to put her music into the movie for free. It was a favor. I begged her. Taylor Swift did this and Taylor Swift did that. So a lot of people think that it was Brian Freeman that brought up Taylor Swift. It wasn't Brian Freeman. It was Ku Klux Khaleesi. Ku Klux Khaleesi was the one that's like, yeah, Taylor Swift is involved in all aspects of the project. Taylor Swift did this, and Taylor Swift was, helping with the selection of the co-stars and did all that and whatnot. And it's just like, And mind you, Taylor Swift don't even want to be a part of it. But how can you say that you had no part of it when your bestie came on record in front of the press and said, oh yeah, Taylor Swift did that? Taylor Swift is the one who made all of the recommendations. Like, let's be for real, right? So that's how Taylor Swift gets involved. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's why I didn't speak too much on a Van Zandt because I said if the Van Zandt lawsuit can stick and Judge Lyman admits this and makes it admissible in court, now we rolling with something, right? Because if the Van Zandt lawsuit is admissible, that means that the New York Times lawsuit is in the bag. Is definitely in the bag. She has been on record so many times, name dropping Taylor Swift left and right. So people think it's Brian Freeman and Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni mentions her in passing in one text message, just one single text message. All of the PR from August, Ku Klux Khaleesi over and over and over again. It's like, what? Oh my God, what's going on? So what are your questions so far with the recap? I'm just figuring some things out right quick. I should have practiced this before, but yeah. Motion to dismiss. Well, while the movie It Ends With Us was being filmed, the movie Deadpool 3 was also being filmed right around the same time. Where it becomes an issue is how Megamind, aka Christopher Columbus of Hollywood, aka Ryan Reynolds, he makes a spoof of Justin Baldoni called Nice Pool. All right. So Nice Pool is in the movie. Little Easter eggs about It Ends With Us is in the movie. And then this is where Megamind messed up, right? Had he spoofed Ryan Reynolds and did a parody of, not Ryan Reynolds, of Justin Baldoni, had he did the parody of Justin Baldoni 6 months before or 6 months after, it would have been a coincidence. It would have been a, well, this is under the same purview and guidelines of Saturday Night Live, right? I would say 6 months after. If the movie would have been released 6 months after the filming, and you would have saw Nice Pool, then you would have been like, oh, that's just a wife like complaining about, like her work situation with Justin Baldoni. It wouldn't stick. But because both movies were filming all at the same time, and it was just right on the nose, that's when it was like, hey, I would not be surprised. And here's the thing, I made a video back in January and I said, I would not be surprised if Nice Pool gets hi. If Nice Pool gets subpoenaed and all of the information gets subpoenaed. Well, sure enough, like a couple of days later, it did, right? And I was just like, well, damn, ain't that a coincidence? And people are like, it's just a movie. You can't be, how is this spoofed? And I'm like, because of the timing. The timing is everything. The fact that the movie was filmed, both movies were filmed at the same time, and there were details about the movie that was put into Deadpool, it was pretty much a dead giveaway. So that's when everything, like when Justin Baldoni filed his lawsuit against Ku Klux Khaleesi and Megamind, it all made sense because it's like, hey, this was definitely intentional that they had intent on stealing the movie. It's very apparent if you watch it. Megamind is another individual. If you let him talk and you ask the right amount of questions, he will spill. He'll definitely spill. So when he was doing his interview in Germany about Deadpool, and they're like, hey, talk to me about Nice Pool. He pretty much like low-key snitched on himself and was like, Nice Pool is an archetype and he represents everything that he hates about himself. And I'm like, tell me you're insecure about another man without telling me you're insecure about another man. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's where Marvel is like, look, we're not trying to get involved. And Brian Freeman has sent the letter to Marvel that says, do not destroy anything, do not throw away anything, until evidence pertaining to this particular segment of the movie is going to be up for evidence. It is potential evidence. And so I was like, damn, that I just did it on a humbug where I was back in January. I'm like, hey, I would not be surprised if the movie Deadpool ends up becoming evidence. Hey, it was very obvious that he's extremely jealous. Extremely obvious. Yes, you're absolutely correct. So from there, you notice that Taylor Swift never promoted the movie, even though her songs was in the movie and she had a lot of input into the movie. Notice that, right? And then on top of that, you see that the last time that they were together was October of 2024. They've never been out together. They weren't even shot together during the Super Bowl. You don't see them. And you can kind of see like the tensions is starting to get thick. But one thing about Taylor Swift is she's not going to come out and say anything. But I wouldn't be surprised that if she comes out with an album, all the tea is going to spill once this is done and over with. Yes, KS, yes. And so that's pretty much it. So Judge Lyman, a lot of people had some reservations in regards to Judge Lyman. Did Marvel give a public response about Freeman's letter? Yes. They're trying to say that they don't want to give any of the intellectual property, and they're trying to say it's under the guise of intellectual property. So it's up to Judge Lyman to determine if the the scenes out of Deadpool is evidence. Megamind is trying to say, it's just a spoof, it's just a parody, it's not that deep. But the thing about it is, and anyone with two eyes can see, is it's the timing of it. Had he did this like 6 months later, it wouldn't have any teeth. He wouldn't have a leg to stand on, like Brian Freeman. He would not have a leg to stand on because there's nothing illegal about spoofing or parodying a celebrity, right? Saturday Night Live, Mad TV, and other, sketch comedies, they do it all the time. It's the timing of it. Because the movies were filmed at the same time and there was details about the movie that unless you were in the inside and you knew what was going on the inside, there's no way you would have known about it. And so if you would have watched It Ends With Us and then you turned around and watched Deadpool and you knew nothing of the lawsuit and you knew absolutely nothing of what's going on, it's like, why are these two movies doing it? And so some people is like, oh, they're trying to have an Oppenheimer Barbie situation. And I'm like, it's possible, it's very plausible, but there was details in that movie that's not a Oppenheimer Barbie type beef type deal. That's not the case. Going back to Judge Lyman, people had reservations about Judge Lyman because Judge Lyman's brother was the director, from my understanding, the director of Green Lantern. And so, like Balake and Megamind, they were both in the movie. So people thought that it was a conflict of interest. Well, here's the thing. Green Lantern filmed like 15 years ago in 2011. They haven't had a relationship like that, right? And then also Judge Lyman is a federal judge. He's a federal judge. He is an appointed judge. This is not something that you can kind of like, hey, I'm going to be a judge today. Like, you're appointed. So why would Judge Lyman risk his professional reputation as well as, his standing as a federal judge for his brother? It's just not making any sense. And this is why I've made comments that says, like what Judge Lyman is doing is fair and is sound. And a lot of people tend to be extremely emotional. They're like, but what about this and what about this? And this is why like the bipartisan in me kicks in. And it's like, if it ain't got nothing to do with the case, I don't care. I really don't care. Because what folks are doing is creating distractions and they're not staying focused on what's going on. So what ended up happening is folks were trying to like dig up any and everything, talking about, oh, it's a conflict of interest. His brother is this and he knows. I'm like, have y'all not heard of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? Right? Between one person, it takes 6 individuals to find a connection to another person. Like, there's probably 6 people that has a connection between me and Halle Berry. I've never met Halle Berry a day in my life, and it's been almost 10 years since I stepped foot in Hollywood. But I can guarantee there are 6 people, at least 6 people, that is between myself and Halle Berry. That's how the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon works. He has been very, very fair. When they had the first hearing, because Brian Freeman, he's all about rah-rah and being in the press and doing the court of public opinion. Judge Lyman kind of nipped that shit in the bud, and it's like, look, I'm aware. And here's the thing a lot of people don't know about Judge Lyman. Judge Lyman is very much aware that there's a public interest in this case. He is very much aware that there is a lot of people who are interested in this case. So he has to be fair and he has to be impartial, number one. Number two, because there is a lot of vested interest in the case, he's like, look, don't be spilling all of the tea and all of the evidence into the public. You need to leave some for the courts. You need to, because everyone is asking for a trial by jury, right? They want a jury of their peers. So if you kind of spill everything into the public, it is going to muddy the waters in regards to jury selection. So he's like, look, just dial it back a little bit, keep it out of the press, because you're dealing with 2 courts. You have the court of public opinion and then you have the court of law, right? And so he's trying to kind of reel Brian Freeman into focus on the court of law, less on the court of public opinion. So one of those things is like, okay, that makes a whole lot of sense. As soon as Brian Freeman started dropping all of the evidence, that's when you notice like Ku Klux Khaleesi and Megamind was like to dismiss, motion to dismiss, and it's like, nah, killer, you brought this into the public. Stand on business with that shit. That's cute. A Taylor Swift Wayfair project. Oh, that's gonna be a severe blow to the ego. But yeah, people were creating distractions, and that's why I try to keep everything like if it ain't got nothing to do with the case, if it's not something that we gotta like tie into, then we're just gonna have to chill on that. Once again, so here's the thing with Marvel. Megamind has PGA credit. He was also listed as a producer with PGA credit, as well as the executive producer. So Marvel is in the same boat as Sony, where it's like, look, our job is to provide distribution and funding. The production companies, like everything that happens with the production company is their responsibility, right? So I want to say it was Maximum Effort Production that did Deadpool 3. And so it's the production company that is fully responsible. Major studios like Sony and Marvel, they just push distro and they just give you the money to do what you got to do. So basically, the intellectual property belongs to Marvel when it's all said and done because it's they paid for it. And so this is where Marvel is like, look, this is IP. You're telling us to give IP to another production company, a production company that had nothing to do with the movie. And that's where Marvel is pushing back on it. So Judge Lyman is like, okay, I see where you're coming from. And this is why they want the attorney eyes only privilege, because Marvel's concern is they don't want Wayfair to have their IP and then Wayfair turn around and do something else. And then that just ends up being like all muddy water and everything. Exactly. Yeah, it's going to get published to YouTube. So you get to rewatch it. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. This is my very, very first live, so it's kind of messy and choppy. But the next live I'm gonna do, it's gonna be a little bit more streamlined with some graphics and everything else because I'm liking this format in regards to going live on my laptop versus on my phone. So it's making things a whole lot better. But as far as like going back to the original question, what is my take on Judge Lyman? Judge Lyman is fair. I think he is doing a very good job in regards to keeping the circus and the distraction contained. Because some of the videos that I get tagged on my TikTok, it's like, what? Where'd you get this information from? Like, for example, the young lady who filmed Ku Klux Khaleesi at a hotel in Texas when they were doing the South by Southwest premiere of Another Simple Favor, that ended up going viral and blowing up for no apparent reason. And it's like, okay, so what's the point of this? And I chatted with her a little bit, sweet chick, and she wanted to, gain some clout because she happened to be at the same hotel as Ku Klux Khaleesi. But I'm like, it's not relevant. And I was telling people like it's not relevant. Yeah, TikTok is really on some BS. I was trying to consolidate everything that's going on. So things with Taylor Swift start to get extremely messy, as you can see in the last couple weeks. Taylor Swift is is not happy with the fact that she's getting dragged into it. And once again, for those who are coming in late, it's not Brian Freeman's fault that Taylor Swift got dragged into it. It was actually Ku Klux Khaleesi who got dragged into it because she kept dropping her name. She kept name dropping over and over and over again. So what ended up happening was Brian Freeman was like, well, shit, since she was so involved in the movie and she had so much input in what was going on, let's go ahead and subpoena her, right? So Taylor Swift was like, bro, I am not trying to get subpoenaed. I'm not trying to be in this mess. I'm not trying to get involved. Then you heard rumors about, well, if you don't endorse me, if you don't support me, I'm going to drop all of these text messages going back 10 years. Most people might say, well, how the hell do you save text messages for 10 years? Easy. If you have an iPhone and you have the cloud and you've maintained communication with the person for 10 years, I have text messages that are like 14 years old. Do I intentionally save it? No, I don't. I don't save it. It's just I never set the thing that says, hey, delete after 30 days. Every single text message going back to 2011, I still have it. So it's very, very easy to say, okay, how can you have text messages going that far back? But the fact that you're going to tell your bestie, your the godmother to your children, if you don't support me, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to release the text messages. I have multiple questions. Number one, what could be so embarrassing or so damaging that you're willing to do that? Now, it don't take much to create a scandal, especially a woman of her caliber. When we're talking about Taylor Swift, it does not take much at all, especially with some of the questionable men that she's dated in the past. I mean, you got like the one dude who's been like blatantly racist that caused a whole lot of drama. But why would you even threaten your bestie like that? Number one. Number two, Taylor Swift, her hands are not clean, you know? Originally, I was gonna do a video in regards to the motion to drop the subpoena for Taylor Swift, and then the news dropped about her purchasing her masters, and I'm like, so what was the point of re-recording the music if you had intentions on purchasing the masters? So you had your fans purchase the vinyl and your music. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. Full disclosure, I do not care for Taylor Swift. There are some things that Taylor Swift has done that it just makes me pause. And I be tussling with the Swifties on Twitter. I chilled out because of this last election, but I do not care for her in regards to her business practice. I Multiple things can happen, right? I respect her as a businesswoman. I do respect her as a businesswoman, but her business practices doesn't align with my values in regards to with these economic times. Why would you have your fans purchase the same song twice? That don't even make sense. Then like her vinyls, where it's like the same album, but it's like a different vinyl thing so it could form a clock. Like that is so wasteful. It's extremely wasteful. Hmm. Yeah, we was just talking about that. Chan, you're right. Because Taylor Swift has only had one ex that was extremely problematic to the point where the fans were like, you need to break up with him because we're looking at you side eye. Like, why are you with this dude? So that relationship ended like super, super quick. We'll hear about it in her music. One thing about Taylor Swift is she don't talk to the press, but she'll have her people talk to the press as a inside source. So yeah, like I said, for me, like one of my, and this is just full disclosure, right? I can sit there and I can look at the situation with Taylor Swift objectively in regards to the things that she does with other artists, just paying attention. I don't care for how she moves, right? Like she weaponizes feminism in the aspect of, oh, I'm team girl power. She's not a girl's girl. Like Stevie Wonder can see that she's not a girl's girl. And the fact that people will fight me in the comments, I'm like, what do you mean? And she's done this and she's done that. It's like, dude, she rotates her girl group like Thanos in the rings. Like she rotates her friends like a closet. Your winter closet, your spring closet. Like, mm-mm. She's not a girl's girl. She moves really funny. And the way she takes out her competition is so snake-like. It's like, how y'all not see this? Don't get me wrong, there are a few songs that Taylor Swift has that is on my playlist that I like. Am I a diehard fan? No. Would I spend money to go see her live? No. In regards to concert tickets, I have no opinion about that because the logistics alone, there's a lot of logistics. You got to pay people. Like personnel is a big chunk of the budget. So if she's charging like $4,000, $5,000 for some concert tickets and people are willing to drop that coin, hey, do what you got to do. The fact that her fans be on some fuck shit, it's like if your fans are comfortable being racist. So that's why I'm like, I do not care for how she moves. I don't. Absolutely, absolutely. But one thing about it is that woman is a savvy businesswoman. I respect her. I respect her and her savviness. Her father is a banker, and it's like, hey, he is protecting his daughter. He is protecting his interests because Taylor Swift is not going to get her hands dirty. So absolutely, there's a possibility. If it wasn't the father who leaked it, it was definitely like her PR or someone in her inner circle, her deep, deep inner circle. Yeah. But Taylor Swift is not a girl's girl at all. Now, as far as like Taylor Swift being threatened, I think it's kind of fucked up that her friendship with her is dragged like this, but you know, birds of a feather do flock together. Because my thing is, and here's some critical thinking, right, for the Swifties. So we know that Scooter Braun had took her masters and didn't want to sell it. Like from what I understand, and we already know what the truth came out, Scooter Braun had her masters and didn't want to sell it, right? So essentially withheld her art. You would think, right? You would think that as an artist, it would be a sore spot if you found out that your bestie stole another artist's body of work, right? So how would you feel if if I had someone steal my body of work and then I found out that my best friend stole another artist's body of work? I'd be like, come on, sis. Like, that's foul. Like that would be a sore spot for me because it hits extremely close to home. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know what it's like to have your body of work stolen loosely. I'm using the term stolen loosely, even though it was a business thing. And then you see your best friend of 10 years do it to someone else. Like that that's the part that just don't sit right in my spirit, right? Because like what's a really good analogy that happened that anyone can relate to? Let's just say I had a boyfriend. Boyfriend cheats on me, right? I'm all broken up. I'm crying over some ice cream. I probably gained some, 10 pounds. Everything is just like falling apart. You're my best friend. You're consoling me, right? Yeah, I got you. This will happen, blah, blah, blah. Everything is all said and done. I done moved on past it. I found love. I'm happy, all this other stuff. Then I later on find out that you're cheating on your person, right? You know how it stings. You know the feeling of being cheated on, and now you see your homegirl cheating on another person. And then what makes it so bad is she's cheating on her guy, and the guy he's a really good guy. He's a good guy. He's a good man. Like he's doing all of the right things. He's nothing but green flags across the board. And you watching your homegirl just dog him the fuck out. How would that make you feel? It wouldn't sit right in your spirit, right? It's kind of like, no, no. As far as like someone having a past, um, Hollywood is small. It's small. It's a network. So that you just gotta take that with a grain of salt. Unfortunately, it's not a criminal act yet. She didn't promote the film, so maybe she does have integrity, but months later, she is host for Glee. So, if you got cheated on and then your best friend's man who is green flags across the board, he's a good guy, he's like your brother, or you know him in passing, you don't really have a relationship with him, but you see that he's treating her really good, and then you find out that she's cheating on him, that wouldn't like you would feel some type of way. So the question is like, how much corruption are you willing to tolerate? There's always been a philosophy of mine. How much are you willing to tolerate in order for you to accomplish what you need to accomplish? And that part never did set right with me. It's like, you know what it's like to have your body of work taken from you and you can't do it. Like she had to completely re-release all of her music, had to reshoot all of her music, all the IP that's associated with the music. And then you see that happening to someone else. You're not going to check your friend. You're not going to call your friend out. Like, that's not cool, man. Good night. It's so not cool. So that's the whole point of like, nah. Now, one of the things that I did mention is Brian Freeman dropped the subpoena, and everyone's like, "Oh, she don't have to be subpoenaed." And I'm like, "Dude, calm down, calm down." The reason why she don't have to be subpoenaed is because she gave him all of the necessary information that needs to be done, right? Oh, she's an overall terrible person. Like, people are coming out of the woodwork saying that she is a horrible person. I understand that there's when you get up to that level, there is going to be a semblance of corruption. The question is, are you willing to lose sleep behind it? But apparently Taylor Swift is not losing any sleep behind it. So it just got me looking at her, completely crazy and side eye. Like, so you're a victim when it's happening to you, but then you're cool with someone in your inner circle doing it to someone else. Someone else who, if you look at the power structure, he's like a lesser known, because prior to this whole situation, I have never heard of Justin Baldoni. Didn't know anything about Justin Baldoni. I've never watched Jane the Virgin. I've never watched any movies that he's ever been in, never paid any attention to him. So when you see like he is, like the underdog in this entire situation, it makes you pause. Like, I know of Blake Lively. I've seen a few movies with her in it. They're forgettable. It's forgettable, but I've known her as the wife of, Megamind. So it's just kind of one of those like, hmm, okay. She has great style taste. Come to find out, it's not her fashion, it's people telling her how to dress. And then the more I learned about this woman and the more I learned, it's like she can't act. I was like, yeah, her body of work is forgettable. But when she comes out of her own mouth and says that she doesn't know how to act, it's like, oh, wow, this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. So I'm confident that he will win the case against her. What makes it so funny is when she put in her lawsuit that she is suffering from emotional distress and she can't show up for her family and she can't leave the house. And I'm like, really? Are you sure about that? Are you really sure you can't, show up? Because you have been attending red carpet events. You were able to work. Like, as soon as you were finished with It Ends With Us, you started filming Another Simple Favor. You're appearing on red carpets. You're having it. And then the Times magazine, where, she's listed as the advocate for women's voices and everything else, is like, are you for real? Are you? Yeah. She went to Italy. She was just living her best life and doing all of these, great and awesome things. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, okay. And then there was this headliner that came out, and I'm like, oh, we need to talk about this. And I was waiting on other folks to see if there was going to make mention of it. Please tell me this is saved on my phone. There we go. I'm just going to invalid file type. Lovely. I'm like, so if you're suffering from emotional distress and you're having all of these issues, then you should have no problems cooperating that story. And so this morning, and this is why I wanted to go live and talk about it. This morning, she's dropping the motion to dismiss. And I'm like, oh, really? Is that right? Then another article came out, and I want to show you this article. Let me see. Please bear with me. True story. I had sent a DM to Jamie Heath on his his Instagram. So I DM'd him on his Instagram because I couldn't DM him on TikTok or LinkedIn because it was private and I refused to pay for the membership. And I was like, well, if he sees it, he sees it. But I just wanted to let him know, like, please don't stop the Man Enough podcast, because I don't listen to podcasts, and that podcast was really, really good. How do I share a link? Like, I want to share a link. So it was something that came up like a few hours ago. Says Blake Lively can't refile emotional distress claims against the courtroom and court rules. The ruling follows a dispute over whether the actress has turned over medical records. I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. Blake Lively is no longer pursuing claims for emotional distress in her lawsuit against It Ends With Us director Justin Baldoni. The move comes after the judge overseeing the case on Tuesday turned down the actress' bid to refile the claim at a later stage if she chooses to abandon it. Lively's motion is denied based on her representation that the relevant claims will be withdrawn, wrote the U.S. District Judge Louis Lyman in an order issued on Tuesday, today. In a statement, Ezra Hudson and Mike Gottlieb, lawyers for Lively, said their client is dropping certain claims because they're no longer necessary and that she will continue to pursue emotional distress damages through other claims in her lawsuit, including sexual harassment and retaliation. They added that Baldoni Wayfair's strategy for filing retaliatory claims has exposed him to expensive damages under California law. So here's the bullshit, right? Judge Lyman is a U.S. District judge, right? And this is done at the federal level. Everyone, like, this is what a lot of people forgot. So both parties agreed that they would rule this case, they would judge this case under New York jurisdiction. New York jurisdiction. Why are they trying to pursue this under California jurisdiction? Because she knows she's going to lose. And so she's clawing and throwing spaghetti at the wall, thinking that, oh, well, if I can't get it done in New York, then I'm going to try to push it in California. Exactly. So basically, the article that I just read to you is she dropped the claim, but now through her lawyers, are saying, well, I'm going to drop it now, but I'm going to refile it later. And this is why I like Judge Lyman. Judge Lyman was like, you drop it now, it stays dropped. You're not going to file it. You're not going to refile. So he nipped that shit in the bud super quick. And this is why I like Judge Lyman. I don't know what the man looks like, but I like him. So totally nipped it in the bud, right? So Tuesday's order foreclosed the possibility of Lively's refiling emotional distress claim, providing her medical records unless Baldoni allows her to do so. The actress can also file a formal motion for the court to dismiss the claims without prejudice. Judge Lyman have already said he ain't doing it. He's not going to dismiss it, which the court will assess if she chooses to go down that path. If she chooses to proceed with those claims, she won't be able to present evidence of emotional distress. So while the reason why she wants to drop it is because she does not want to release her medical records. Yeah, they snitched on themselves. The icing on the cake is if you watch the interview, which I'm going to do another YouTube video and I'm going to do a compilation just to kind of touch everything because I'm still trying to figure this little thing out. And I apologize. This is my first time going live, but I'm gonna make it better. So she snitched on herself during the Times Gala, the awards gala, where she was like, oh, this has been the best year. I've had an amazing year. Sweetheart, if you've had an amazing year, then in your lawsuit, you said that you can't leave the house. That is inside that bracket year, my love. I'm so glad y'all here. Y'all rocking with me. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna do this again. Right. So it's like if you've had a great year, you've had an intense year. What's going on? What's happening? I also noticed when Taylor's name was mentioned in the lawsuit in the text with the dragon reference, why did Taylor post a la Fire's link to her story in our mention? I don't follow Taylor Swift, my love. I'm not sure. So it's little details like that that I don't really get involved with because it's like, unless it's relevant to the case, unless it's something that is like, hey, maybe Brian Friedman should take a look at this. Like, for example, the nice pool situation. Like, it is so wild how I mentioned it, and then 3 days later they subpoenaed Marvel. I'm like, oh, they are paying attention on social media. So it's one of those situations where if it's related or if there's a juxtaposition, yeah, sure. But like people following and unfollowing, and this is just me. I don't put a lot of weight behind who follows and unfollows who, because to me it holds no teeth. It's like, okay, is there any additional information that is pursuant to that? But she is definitely worse than Amber Heard, because she is dragging this to the pits of hell. Definitely dragging it out and whatnot. There was another article that I saw in regards to how like people want to. I saw it and then I'm like, hmm, what else is happening? I'm trying to find the headline because I wanted to look more into it. I did a screenshot. And then I was like, I need to look more into this because this is a massive, massive red flag. Here we go. Blake Lively is backed by advocacy group in legal fight with Justin Baldoni over Me Too speech law. Los Angeles. Blake Lively's efforts to dismiss Justin Baldoni's defamation case is getting a boost from several advocacy groups for the Me Too movement. Okay, so this is my thoughts and 2 cents on this one, right? For those advocacy groups, do you really want to risk your credibility? Do you really want to put your credibility on the line? Because there are women who look at the Me Too movement as this, right? This is not my opinion, but I can see there's some teeth and validity to this. Let me get this straight. You are an actress, you're an upcoming actress, or you're someone that works in the entertainment industry or whatever industry your career field is in. You are willing to compromise your integrity, your morals and values in order to get to where you got to go, do what you got to do, right? How much corruption are you willing to tolerate? Okay. You do what you got to do in order to get the job. You do some questionable shit in order to do the job, whether it's you lay on your back or whatever the case may be. And this is where the ambiguous side of me, right? Like if you follow The Handmaid's Tale, the best character that will describe me is Commander Lawrence. I'm not going to judge you because you did what you needed to do to get to where you got to go. If you had to lay on your back to get that role, do what you got to do to get to where you got to go, right? This is where I'm going to give you some serious side eye and question your integrity. You wait 10 plus years. You done got the job. You done moved on. You are living your best life. You getting roles, you getting jobs, whatever. You wait 10 plus years. Now this person's name is coming up that says, okay, he did this. He did that. Now all of a sudden you want to jump on the bandwagon because it's hard when it's one person. It's hard when you're by yourself. But when there's a mob, you can kind of blend in with the mob, right? So now you're jumping in on the bandwagon and saying, yeah, he did this to me. So let me get this straight. When you were in that position and you chose to make the decisions that you made in order to do what you got to do to get to where you got to go, you had no issues. You had no qualms with it. But now that it's over and you have gotten what you wanted out of it, now you want to throw this person under the bus. Now, am I defending this individual for the choices that they made? No, I'm not. Am I blaming the person because they're a victim? No, I'm not. All I'm saying is you did what you needed to do to get to where you got to get, to go where you got to go. But you waited 10 plus years under the guise of, but I was afraid. Bitch, please be so for real. So with that being said, these special interest groups that's like, oh, do you really want to make her the face of Me Too? Is something like Me Too necessary? Yes, it is. But you have to put certain parameters in place. But do you really want to make her the face of Me Too? Because there is going to be some second and third order effects behind this, right? Because right now we are in the precursor of what the United States is turning into the Republic of Gilead. Like we're actually down that road right now. And I'm just like, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to make this woman the face of the Me Too movement? Because you're about to lose all kinds of credibility. I came across that and I was like, you don't want to do that, bro. You do not want to do that. She has no medical records to corroborate that she's under emotional distress. And here's the thing, being a victim does not absolve you from accountability and responsibility. It does not absolve you, especially if you willingly ignored all of the red signs, all of the red flags, you ignored all of the warnings, and you walked into the situation. Like, for example, I would hold Justin Baldoni responsible. Being a people pleaser never gets you anywhere. Being a people pleaser is going to set you up for failure. Not having firm boundaries, especially professional boundaries, is going to set you up for failure. So, as a person who's looking at this entire situation objectively and said, did she steal your movie? Yes. Did she get people fired? The composer, the assistant directors, the executive producer, because one of the executive producers got fired, and then they begged him to come back. He said, okay, I'll come back, but you need to triple my salary, which means that it made the budget even more higher. So ultimately, as the director of the movie, good, bad, or indifferent, it is his fault. He is 100% responsible. Did she steamroll him? Yes. Did she steal his movie? Yes. Did she do a lot of shit that was outside of the scope of her job? Yes. Because guess what? You were warned. You were warned that she was problematic. You were warned that she was difficult. And I get that you were trying to be a girl's girl or more like a boy's girl, right? You're trying to be that male feminist. You're trying to, give women space, and you're trying to be collaborative because this is such a very serious and heavy ass movie. Ultimately, it's still your fault. But he's the victim. Yeah. Yeah, you can still be the victim and it's still your fault. Are there situations where you could be the victim and it's not your fault? Yes, there are situations that happen. If you were completely blindsided and you didn't see that shit coming, absolutely. I agree with you. But if there's situations where like people are screaming through the rooftops, yo, this ain't good, this ain't good, this ain't good. Like, you need to watch out. If everyone that loves you, if everyone that cares about you is like, you need to watch out for this person, you need to watch out for this person, and you're blinded by limerence. Limerence is another form of lust. It ain't love, it's limerence. It's like, hold up. That is your fault. That is your fault. And so you have to take ownership of it. One perfect example is when I was going through my divorce, right? And a friend of mine was like, hey, what role did you play in the downfall of your marriage? I got offended. I'm not gonna lie, I did get offended. And he was like, I'm not trying to attack you, I'm not trying to blame you, but you got to take ownership of it. Because if you do not take ownership in regards to how you played a role in what happened, you are going to be doomed to repeat the same process over and over again. You're going to repeat the same process. So I had to sit with that. And I had to like process. That's what I tell any and everyone. If you're going through a divorce or a really nasty breakup, go to therapy. It doesn't matter who did what and whose fault is what. You got to go to therapy. And I had to sit there and unpack that. And I'm like, yeah, I take ownership of what happened and why my marriage fell apart. I take ownership of that. It wasn't easy. It was like I had to put a mirror in front of me and be like, but he did this and he did that. Well, yeah, but what did you do? How did you react to it? And that's why like the emotional intelligence kind of comes into play in regards to like, you got to sit with that. And so from there, unpacking that, I established very strict boundaries. I established rules to say, hey, if this relationship results in this behavior, I got to go. I have to go because I've done that before and I've been down that road before, and you're not going to take me out of character. So for the ladies who are like, my ex is a narcissist, well, we got that, but what role did you play? You're victim blaming. I'm not victim blaming, but you did have an active role in that. You are a consenting adult. You consented to that relationship. You stayed in that relationship. You are responsible for your behavior and that actions in that relationship. So what did you do to contribute to the behaviors that resulted in that? Well, he cheated on me. Okay, so what did you do after you found out that he cheated on you? I stayed. That's your fault. You stayed. But he said that he loved me. Okay, you stayed. Everyone has free will. Everyone makes a decision Your decision and your choices to stay makes you responsible. But how are you going to put the I'm not blaming you. I'm saying you're responsible. You stayed, right? You stayed. Did he force you to stay? No, you're responsible. So that's why I can look at these things objectively in regards to, do you really want to make this woman the face of the Me Too movement? Because the Me Too movement, and I'm hearing this from other women, that is like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah, he is not your ex. That's another one. I'm telling you, it's amazing how some of the taglines that I say will stick, because it's like, he's not your ex. What does that mean? He is not your ex in the aspect of, look at your life as a book, right? You are the author of the book. Your ex is either going to be a chapter, maybe a couple, a paragraph, a sentence, or a footnote, right? Why are you giving your ex control over your narrative? Why are you giving your ex control over how you are going to live your life? There are so many women in my comment section, right? So, like, I'm just going to hold up like one of my professional reading books. Like, this is your life. This is your life. You're supposed to be the author of your life. Why are you giving your ex authorship over your life? And it's like, oh, my ex did a doozy on me. Da, da, da. Okay, baby, go to therapy. Go lay on someone's couch. Go lay on someone's couch. Unpack what he did. And what I mean by unpack, dissect your behavior that says, you know what, I'm going to ignore this red flag. I am going to ignore his behavior. I am going to gaslight myself and convince myself that this is love. I am going to convince myself that this is normal. You have to unpack that. You have to unlearn that. You have to unravel that, right? Your ex is supposed to be either a chapter, a paragraph, a footnote, or not in your book. So when you give your ex authorship over your life, that means that every time you meet a new guy, he's just an ex in different font. Every time you have an experience, he's your ex. You're projecting your ex. So when women are like, I don't like Justin Baldoni because he reminds me of my ex. He's not your ex, boo. He's not your ex. I'm triggered because, my ex did this and my ex did that. Or he did a doozy on you to the point where you can't even function and live your life without you thinking about your ex. Your ex is supposed to be someone that he's going to probably cross your mind in passing, because either a scent, a memory, a reminder, but he is not supposed to dictate your life like that. He's not. And so the whole, he is not your ex, people are like, well, I never want to date anymore. I never want to be in a relationship. I don't want to fall in love. So this man done got you so damaged that instead of you laying on someone's couch to unpack and heal from it, you would rather project your ex onto every single man that comes into the picture. And instead of taking ownership and responsibility for the actions and the roles that you played in the downside of you getting all fucked up in the head by your ex, you would rather spend the rest of your life alone and miserable. Every time you see a man, if he smells a certain way, if he looks a certain way, if he sounds a certain way, he's your ex. I've seen women sit there and say, I don't like Justin Baldoni because he looks like my ex. He sounds like my ex. He reminds me of my ex. Baby, he's not your ex. He's a happily married man. Then people were attacking his marriage. Oh, this is creepy. This is it. He's married. He loves his wife. So you're so fucked up by what your ex did that you don't know what healthy love is. You don't know what a healthy relationship looks like because you refuse to go lay on someone's couch. So, yeah, that's the whole story of he is not your ex. Then one girl tried to counter, like, oh, she is not the woman that your ex cheated on you with. Okay. Okay. Obviously, your man cheated on you because you're bringing that up. You're going to be all right. You'll definitely be all right. You have to. You got to know your worth and know your value. And this is what my day job is in regards to, like, the photography is the medium aspect of it, of reminding my clients, like, you are that girl and you have to know your worth. Because the moment he yells at you, the moment he throws something in your direction, the moment he belittles you, the moment he does anything, you be like, oh, I gotta go. I have to go, my love. This ain't it. You ain't gotta tell me twice. Domestic violence is so predictable you can set your watch to it. It is so predictable. It has not changed at all. It's very predictable. So people think that I'm being mean when I say I have no sympathy in the aspect of if you're not willing to take responsibility for your actions and you're dragging people into your circus because you want to be a victim and you think being a victim absolves you from any type of accountability and responsibility, I can't deal with you. I cannot. What a lot of people fail to realize is in 2011, those types of proposals were normal. It was normal. That was the standard. You know how like the gender reveals where it's like how big and how extravagant you can do the gender reveals? That's how 2011 was. Because I was in my 30s in 2011. So it was kind of one of those things where you're like, hey, let me go all out and make it public. So for people to say, oh, this is so cringe, it was like, that was the norm. That was absolutely the norm. I just hope that Justin Baldoni can take everything that's happened and learn from it. Like it's definitely going to change him in regards to how he moves and navigates because this is traumatizing. Like having to go through that and you can't work and your projects have been shelved because of that. You've been blackballed temporarily by the industry. The industry is going to sit back and wait and see how the outcome is because you're kind of radioactive. This is like, I smell fried. Okay. I think I'm gonna start doing these lives like on YouTube just to kind of do that. Yeah, prom proposal. Oh yes. If you graduated in high school from 2010 to about 2000, when did it stop? 16? Them prom proposals were off the chain. I was on Facebook like, oh, this is too precious. Y'all really like it's just prom. It ain't that deep. It is not that deep. But hey, I got some news for you guys. I'm gonna show y'all something. Y'all have been asking me and I have been putting it off. And I was like, okay, I got you. I am here. So this is what I got for y'all. I got some merch for you. I got some merch. So I got some jersey t-shirts. I have some mugs. I have some little tumbler cups. And the link is in the bio somewhere up in here when you go in. And then if you want to go into like my social media handles of Bohemian Diva, it's merch. So you can purchase merch. Everyone has been asking me for merch and it was a collaborative effort. So I have Timu Thor. I crack up every time I see creators mention him and refer to him as Timu Thor. I have the you need to go lay on someone's couch. You got to go heal. He is not your ex. I have coffee mugs as well as little tumblers, little glass tumblers that you can do your matcha or your lattes. Yeah. And so I have all of that. So if there's other little catchphrases, I got you. Telling you, man, you tell a girlie, hey, he's not your ex. They do get triggered. They get hella triggered. Super triggered. Sometimes you gotta tell, you gotta let the girlies know, hey, this is massive no bueno. Massive no bueno. And they're like, but I'm a victim and you need to believe me. I said, I can acknowledge. There's a big difference. I can acknowledge you. I don't have to believe you. Belief means something completely different. I even got something for Gonzo, but let me show you another one. But yeah, check out the merch. I appreciate your support. Y'all asked for it. So I was like, I got you. I'd been working on it. And here's the thing, if you are in Canada, if you are in the EU, it delivers. If you are stateside, it'll take anywhere between 5 to 10 business days because it's print to order. It is print to order, so don't have to do a whole lot. Let me switch this out. If you are overseas, it's going to take about 30 days to arrive. And I went ahead and made some updates. So there's no tariffs. You're not going to get hit with tariffs. That's another thing that took forever. I was like, I don't want people paying tariffs on something that costs $30. That's insane. That is utterly insane. But here's another. So coffee mugs and all that. And so if you want to do like a little conversation starter, and then also I got like the little tumblers. Like girlies don't want to be they do. They get hella mad when you sit there and say he's not your ex. As a matter of fact, let me pull up the link for you. I will pull the link. I got you, sweetie. I got you. I'm gonna put it in the comments. So I just stuck it in the comments. So it's libraintimates.com. It's my old lingerie boutique. I went ahead and just like hid the lingerie stuff, and I'm gonna repopulate that. But yeah. So if you have other recommendations, we can do it. So the way I did it is it's print to order. So it goes directly to the distro. I went ahead and did some research with the distribution company. You're not going to get charged tariffs if you're overseas, especially if you're US. If you are overseas, you do have to pay for shipping. I'm sorry, it's over international shipping is a little bit, but it's only $10. It's just $10 for international shipping. And for US, shipping is free, so that's not an issue, and you will get it in a couple of days. International is going to take a little bit longer, but they're pretty good with uh, getting it through. So I got you on the merch. It's novel. It's definitely novel. Everyone loves my little catchphrases. If you're not a t-shirt person, I got you on the coffee mugs. If you don't drink coffee, I got you on the tumbler. So that's not an issue at all. And then what I did with the t-shirts is I wanted it to be super soft, super, super soft. And that way you can like have, because I like to be bummy when I'm at home. And it's one of those things where it's something I can sleep in or something I can clean in. So yes, no problem, love, no problem. So this is pretty much the end of it. But yeah, I will end it on this. For the group that is trying to be the special interest, it would be in their best favor to back up, fall back, do not get involved, because there are individuals who will dig up dirt. I've done it. My other associates have done it. And it will be in the best interest. But for y'all, yeah, this is going to be limited edition. One thing that I did realize is they moved up the court date. It was originally scheduled for May 2026. Now it is scheduled for March 9th, 2026. So we are less than a year away from the trial. Yeah, less than a year. But no, I appreciate your supports and everything. TikTok, I think I'm gonna go ahead and start transitioning away from TikTok because TikTok is really on that BS. I like TikTok because I could be bummy, but a girl is not getting paid, and that's why I had to pause for a little bit and focus on the work. But nope, I got you. No, the lawyer who wanted to do the amicus, where like she was having an 11-year affair with her professor, and she got dined out, and then she ended up having to pay him like $250,000 or something. It's another group that's trying to do that. Yeah, I love y'all, and we can definitely do more longer form content. So what I'm gonna do is, now that I can show graphics, more graphics and everything like that, I can really put some stuff together and be like, hey, here's the slideshow, because I'm a visual learner as well as an audio learner, but I know more people are visual, so we'll just roll with it from there. But there's some other stuff that's coming out that I'm going to be pushing, like long and short form, in regards to like, hey bro, this is Massive, massive no bueno. And the funny thing is, like, for example, when Sherilyn Ifill, who is the civil rights attorney over at Howard University that wrote that BS article, I was like, you couldn't take 30 seconds to look her up. You could not take 30 seconds to see how problematic she is. You are a civil rights attorney. This woman has admitted to being in blackface. She has pretty much spoofed black women on Saturday Night Live. She got married on a plantation. She sat there and built a lifestyle blog romanticizing the antebellum period. And you're going to talk about that she's an advocate for women's rights? Are we for real? Are we so for real? And that really like had me a little ticked. I'll be honest. I was extremely ticked to the point where I was like, I'm not gonna tell you how I really feel about the whole situation because there's a duality, and I like we in mixed company. So, mm-mm. Yeah, absolutely, my love. We could definitely do a balake. I got the perfect. Yeah, we can do a balake. I got you. I have the perfect image for that. Shout out to one of the tribe members who sent me a video. So we gonna knock that out. Yeah, yeah. She did sit on the board for the NAACP. So it's one of those things where it's like I know what the PR people are doing. They're grabbing folks who don't know her and are not willing to take 30 seconds to look her up, and then also they're flooding the SEO and the website with like pro Balake content. But it's just like, dude, you could have just like went on YouTube and just typed all that stuff in. Like, let's be for real. So now your credibility is in question. But yeah, let me go ahead and write that down. I got you on the Balake. We gonna. I will. I have the perfect image too. I got the perfect image for that. I will give credit where credit is due. Candace Owens, she's the one that came up with it, and then I went ahead and snagged it, and then I just put my own spill to it. So yeah, that speech was, yeah. The she did that on purpose. So her speech at the 100 influential people gala, it was very triggering because what is the worst violation a woman can ever experience? The worst violation a woman can ever experience is being sexually assaulted. So you were implying that your mother was sexually assaulted. Number one, why didn't you say that during the press run of It Ends With Us? That would have made a whole lot of sense. Number two, why are you even telling your mother's story? That don't even make sense. Number three, they don't even have anything to do with the article. So then I'm just looking at it like, so people, when I tell you my FYP was filled with mofos who were jumping on the bandwagon, talking about, oh my God, like Lively's mom was sexually assaulted and she's trying to speak up for her mom and all that. And you're looking at the mom's facial expression like, I know that bitch lying. She is lying. It was a hot mess. And I'm like, I'm gonna need y'all to listen. And she knew that. She knew people were not gonna listen. She knew that folks were going to kind of cherry pick when they wanted to pick. Because once again, let's go back to the he is not your ex, right? So if you got women who are scarred either through sexual harassment or sexual assault, and they're harboring the wounds and the trauma of their relationship, all they're gonna start projecting is my ex did this. And then so now they're feeling some type of way. And I'm like, she did that shit on purpose, straight up. So the lack of discernment that, a good 95% of the internet lacks is like it was very much intentional. It was extremely intentional. But yeah. I think are we caught up? Are we up to speed in regards to what's going on for everyone who's like my thoughts and 2 cents? Hmm. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. She was very much intentional. So if people grabbed a snippet of my mother, suffered the worst possible thing, the worst assault that a woman can ever experience. Because like even for me, right? When I hear that, the very first thing that comes to mind is, oh, your mama sexually assaulted. Yikes. But that's what does that got to do with the article? What's that got to do with what's going on in your life? That whole Times 100 gala situation really exposed her. And so you fast forward several weeks. Now she wants to drop the emotional distress complaint. Now she wants to drop everything else because she snitched on herself. You remember when I said you let that woman keep talking, the longer she talks, the more she snitches on herself? She cannot answer a straight question. I'm gonna tell you, listening to her speak when I was putting content together was so painful. It was like, oh my God, right? If you ask her a direct question, she's gonna go around the world, through the woods, into the thick of it. Hmm. And it's like, and will not answer the question. The truth hurts. The truth definitely hurts. She could not take 30 seconds to look this woman up. They're not going to do a retraction. They're not. They are banking. Have you noticed that because people's attention spans are so short, that there's no need to do a retraction unless it's something that is going to get them sued? Unfortunately, there's no need to do a retraction because it's not going to get anyone sued. It's not going to get anyone in trouble legally. So that was a very calculated and strategic move to get a woman who is affiliated with civil rights to write a piece. And then the massive red flag in the entire situation was she straight up said in the article, I don't know her. I've never watched anything that she's ever done. And I'm just sitting there like, why the fuck did you write this movie? Okay. All right, sis. Gotcha. The fuck? I'm gonna fix my internet upstairs because my booster ain't working. I really wanted to do it upstairs in the studio. She's not that bright. Your girl is not smart. Like if you go through a lot of my old videos and she like I post clips where it's like it comes out of her mouth. So when I said this chick cannot act, I'm not saying it just to be mean. I'm not saying it to be biased. She cannot act. And this is where it goes back. I'm not biased. It's just I there's enough information where if I were to sit on the jury, it's like, yeah, there was no sexual harassment. She was not sexually harassed. She stole a movie. Exactly. She did a donation in 2019 because she was getting a lot of heat and a lot of flack for people finding out that she got married on a plantation. You know who else got married on a plantation, but they don't get a whole lot of smoke? Jennifer Lopez. She got married to Ben Affleck on a plantation. Also, for those who don't know, Ben Affleck's ancestors owned slaves once upon a time ago. Just FYI. Ben Affleck is the reason why that television show got canceled. Yeah, he owns a plantation in Georgia. Blake Lively is not a girl's girl at all. Like she has gone on record to say she don't even like women. When she was pregnant with her first child, she even said that because when the reporter was like, "Oh, my wife is pregnant too, but I have to rub her feet." Why she threw the wife clean under the bus? Talking about, "Oh, it's a lie, it's a front." Like, and then Blake Lively has gone on record to say that she's very misogynistic. She harbors internalized misogyny. Hmm. I correlate neutral. Don't know. I'm good enough. Sweetie, no negative self-talk. Okay, you are definitely in your league. You're truly in your league. Do not put yourself down. Okay, do what you love. Like I said, this live is not to my standard because this is my first time working with this platform, and I know what to do now as I'm talking to you. I'm like taking notes on how I can collect the information and I can better present it to you. You make mistakes and you grow and you learn, but do not put yourself down, my love. Don't do that. No negative self-talk. We gladly go live. I have no qualms, no issues. It's not about who's in league because guess what? I put my pants on the same way you do. I go through the same issues the same way you do. We just have different experiences. No negative self-talk. This is my day job kicking in. But yeah, I hope it's trial and error. We learn, we grow, and this is how we get better. Child, when I tell you, running a business ain't for the weak. It's definitely not for the weak. But you learn, you grow, and you get better. Content creation, that's why like I'm anti-influencer. I'm definitely an anti-influencer because I have no desire and interest in being an influencer. But I look at it like I do have a skill set where I like to share information that is different and outside the box. Like you're not going to see me jump on a bandwagon. Imposter syndrome. Here's my tip for you in regards to how you can mitigate imposter syndrome. I want you to have the audacity of Balake. Okay? Let me tell you something. Balake can't act. She has no talent. She is a Nepo baby. And this woman is walking around with all of the audacity. I need you to channel that level of audacity. Okay? I want you to channel that. Channel that level of audacity to say, you belong in this room. You are good at what you do because when you believe it, you will embody it. I need you. Before it was like, hey, channel the audacity of a mediocre man. Nah, she bumped that. I need you to channel the audacity of Balake. Okay? You got this, boo. You got this. You want to be a full-time YouTuber? You want to be a content creator and this is your niche and this is your skill? Do it. Do it, do it, do it. Add value. Show that you are a thought leader, not an expert, a thought leader. Because an expert is, oh, look at me and I know this and I'm smart. A thought leader is make people think. And that's what I want to contribute. It's like I want you to think about it. Like don't look at things in a vacuum, look at it from a bigger picture, a broader picture and everything else. YouTube is a different beast. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I had no desire and interest in being on YouTube, but the tribe was like, please come to YouTube. This TikTok is really pissing me the hell off. They're like, come to YouTube. I was like, all right, thank you. I was filming on my phone. They was like, can you flip? I was like, look, I ain't trying to be fancy. But now that I figure it out and I can do widescreen and I can show more stuff, I was like, all right, I put rocks with YouTube. We can rocks, but like don't put yourself down. Number one, no negative self-talk. Do not criticize yourself. Just say you are a work in progress. Oh yeah, definitely. Let me tell you, Taylor Swift is a very calculated and strategic woman. I respect her. I don't like how she moves, but I respect her in regards to she's not going to play these little games, but she's going to show you what her intentions are and where her allegiance lies. Hi, Sean. Okay, but this is my piece of advice to anyone who wants to do something, right? Because this is actually my day job, right? Never put yourself down. You are a work in progress. A baby has to learn how to walk first before they learn how to run. You are a work in progress. Okay? Done is better than perfect. Something that I wish I would have learned when I was in my 20s. Being a chronic perfectionist. Done is better than perfect. It's okay to make mistakes because you are going to get better. The more time you put into your craft, the better that you get. Intellectual capital holds way more weight and lasts a whole lot longer and has more compound interest than money. The money is going to come second. The money is going to be a result of that. But never put yourself down. Know your value, know your worth. Always know your value, know your worth. You are better than that. You was not put on this earth to be a doormat, be a punching bag, or be less than anyone. We're all equals. We may have different experiences, we may have different accesses to resources, but we're still the same people. Because at the end of the day, the one thing, the one and only thing that makes us all the same is time. Time. We are all equals when it comes to time. We're going to pay our taxes and we're going to die eventually. but time is what levels the playing field. Okay. We may have different experiences. We may have different goals. We may have different socioeconomic backgrounds. We may have different access to resources. But the one and only thing that makes me, Jay-Z, and Beyonce the same, time. Because you can't get back time. You can't buy time. You can't replace time. Once it's gone, it's gone. How you use it and how you manage it, that's a different story. So that's my philosophy to you. Yeah, be a thought leader. Evoke curiosity, evoke thought. That's why I like to share little things in regards to when I go into my nerdgasm and start sharing all the things that I learn, and you'd be surprised some of the random stuff that comes to mind after I work out. But we have been rocking and rolling for the last 2 hours. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for the recap. Your girl is oof, ciao. She's a work in progress. Definitely a work in progress. This will be posted so you can kind of, just put it on play and you can clean your house or take a drive somewhere. I'm gonna definitely post some more stuff as far as like going into more deep dives. I got you. I got you. I got you. It is. I am an identity alchemist. My job is to remind my clients that you are that girl and you have that sauce and you are enough. You're definitely enough. That's my job. So, with that being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I tell you, look, this is my thoughts and 2 cents. Judge Lyman is sound. He is sound. He has not done anything leading up to this point to makes me question anyone. And I say, I could clock people. I can clock people. He is sound. He is good. Colleen Hoover, I need to do a follow-up video on her because your girl is unraveling. Timu Thor is booked and busy. He booked and he's busy. The other two, Isabella Ferreira, I haven't seen anything that she's doing, and I'm like, cool. But look, to my tribe, check out the merch. I'm going to go ahead and post the link and everything else. And I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all have a great day. Leo, thank you so much. We're going to do this again. And yeah, let me know in the comments what else you want to hear about. And we're going to go live again and we're going to talk. So thank you. Y'all have a great evening and I'll talk to you later.